Hey everybody, it's Charlie. I got a lot of requests to do a video for all this Titans Episode 1 stuff that dropped. I'm always a little suspicious when stuff like this happens, so grain of salt, I'll talk about the non-spoilery stuff, but it gives you a good idea for where the characters pick up, how they explain their backstories, and what it looks and feels like. There are a couple of things that are missing in this breakdown. I don't know if they've changed the edit from what this description is, but because it's been in the can for so long, I imagine that they've changed minor edits several times. So for instance, Beast Boy supposedly does not appear in the pilot episode. It's mostly dedicated to you cannonballing into the world with Robin, Raven, and Starfire's characters. It's sort of teeing up what the big overarching story is going to be with the Church of Blood and what's going on with Starfire's character. But if you're finding me for the first time, be sure to subscribe to get all the DC videos. There's a new round of the Legion Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber, leave a comment on the video. What'll happen is when the DC streaming service drops, I'll do giveaways for memberships of that. Whatever it ends up costing, no worries. And I will explain the delay for Young Justice Season 3 at the end of the video too, because there's a lot of questions about why they pushed it back. But when you're thinking about Titans, if you've ever wondered why the DC TV crossovers always work so well, and why they don't just make a show that's just that, with them doing the crossover every single week, that's what Titans is meant to be. 13 one-hour movies, so the look of it, the feel of it, is way more hardcore than anything you would see on a show like Arrow, which is probably the most hardcore DC TV show, and the special effects are so much better than what you see on The Flash and Supergirl. Like, one of the big criticisms of Flash is that sometimes their overly ambitious special effects wind up looking like PS2 graphics. Some of the extra lead time in getting Titans out, like why it's taken so long to make it, is because they're spending so much extra time to make the special effects look like movie quality. There's reports of all kinds of F-bombs being dropped, the violence being much more graphic. Imagine a version of the Batman warehouse scene from Batman v Superman. Whatever you think about the rest of the movie, that is probably one of the best Batman comic book fights of all time. So imagine a TV series that flows from that type of energy. I feel like they've done really good stunts on Arrow. That's one of their strong points because they don't do a lot of special effects. But imagine you blend the best fight scenes with the best special effects from DC TV and put that into a big team-up show with some of the biggest characters from DC Comics. And I'll get into this too as we talk about Raven's character on the series. She's one of the most powerful characters that they've ever introduced from the comics. Obviously, Robin's character is the first one you meet. He's the most important character in the series next to Raven's character. They do a good job of explaining how he's not with Batman anymore. The interesting surprise is that this description puts him in San Francisco. I don't know if that's accurate. If you're not a big comic book reader, the reason why San Francisco is an important city in the DC universe is because that is where the current version of the Titans Tower exists. That's where the Titans' home base is. The weird thing is they've been filming the last couple of episodes though, and we've seen a whole lot of Gotham City. Maybe they bounce back and forth between cities during the rest of the episodes. The way they describe Batman in the series is he appears in the pilot episode as a shadow, like a hallucination. Robin will turn around and think that he sees him, but it turns out that nothing's there. So it's sort of like that Batman trick where he's there, and then all of a sudden you spin around and he disappears. When we meet him, he's in his mid to late 20s, so I'm guessing that his Batman is like really late 30s, early 40s, a little bit younger than Ben Affleck's Batman. We get a couple action scenes that highlight his more acrobatic fighting style. Imagine like a more hardcore version of the way that Stephen Amell fights on Arrow, along with the acrobatics of the Dick Grayson character from the comics. There's also supposed to be a flashback to Flying Graysons just to give you a version of the origin story. All the characters are supposed to get versions of that to a certain degree, but obviously Robin's the most important, so you get the deepest dive on his character. You meet a couple of his supporting characters like Detective Rohrbach. She's actually from the Chuck Dixon Nightwing comics in Bloodhaven. So I don't know if Bloodhaven figures into the series because this keeps describing San Francisco. They might just be changing that part and put her in San Francisco. Then they jump to Raven's character, and you get the same version of the origin story that you got for Robin's character. You learn about her mother, you get to see how strung out they are, how messed up she is. She's a relatively younger version of the character, so her powers haven't fully manifested, but they do give you a version of that Scarlet Witch Age of Ultron post-credit scene where you get a taste for her powers like telepathy and telekinesis, but she can do way more than that. Eventually, when she becomes older, she gains the power of flight, she can teleport, astral projection, she's a master of dark magic. She's one of the most powerful characters in the DC universe, so it's going to be pretty cool. But they also introduce you to her supporting characters through the Church of Blood. There's a character called the Acolyte, which is supposed to be a relatively big character during season 1. He's from the Church of Blood in the comics. Brother Blood is a character during the series. It sounds like they're trying to capture Raven so they can perform the ritual to bring Trigon into this universe. But then you jump to Starfire's character, and the weird thing about the way this person is explaining the Starfire character is that she's dressed like 70s Starfire because she's at a party, so there's a parody aspect to it, but through her character, they set off the main arc that will cause them to form the Titans team. So if they're not going to use Beast Boy in the first episode, that might be why, because they're introducing so much mythology and trying to set up so many big arcs. It sounds like it's not going to exclusively deal with the Church of Blood, so there'll be other problems. But remember, Starfire has an evil sister, Blackfire, who's actually trying to get rid of her because she's the heir to the throne of her homeworld. The way they describe the Starfire character is that you get a really big action scene towards the end of the episode. Remember at the end of the first episode of The Flash, where he has that big tornado that he has to take down? Like, you have one really big action set piece.
You can do this now. Run, Barry, run!
It sounds like the big action set piece of this episode takes place through the Starfire character when she manifests her powers, so I'm guessing that she's going to be crazy powerful during the series. They don't say a whole lot about what her official costume is going to look like. It sounds like Robin is one of the few people that wears a traditional superhero costume when the series picks up. Then Kory will just get a bunch of different costume changes. Mostly, she doesn't wear a lot of clothes. That's the whole thing about the character, so she walks around half naked. So it'll be fun to see how they deal with that, if this is meant to be a more hardcore series. I'm not expecting them to do Titan's Tower during season 1. They might tease it at the end of the season and then just have them build it in a future season. But originally what happened is the first version of the Titan's Tower was built by Cyborg's father. He was a founding member of the Teen Titans, so his father built the first Titan's Tower. That was in New York City. Trigon destroyed it. Then a while later they rebuilt it in San Francisco, where it's been ever since. The only things that they don't talk about in this description of the first episode is what the theme song sounds like, which is obviously a very important thing, and what the music in general is going to be. I feel like right now Black Lightning probably has the best DC TV music. I have very high expectations for Titans, but obviously it's probably not going to all be hip-hop music the way that Black Lightning is. I'm expecting it to be very different. I talked a little bit about the launch dates in my last big trailer video. I'll link that at the end of this, but we also found out that they pushed the premiere of Young Justice. It was originally supposed to premiere towards the end of this year, but now they're saying 2019. I'm guessing because they want to give Titans more time to air, or they're planning on premiering it a couple weeks after they originally were. Like when they say it's delayed to 2019, that doesn't mean it's going to be a full year. It just means it's going to be early 2019. So just remember, there's going to be a Young Justice Season 3 Comic-Con panel where hopefully the creators will have more news about that. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. Click here to rewatch that trailer, and click here for brand new Avengers 4. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.